This is Design Variety. I'm John Darrigan, and let's get started.
What you want is what you'll see. If you're looking for it, you'll find it. If you're looking for it, you'll find it. If you're looking for
It's great to be back here with you for another episode. Today, help is on the way to deal with all of those screen sizes, a massive repository of publicly available design systems, infinite scrolling done right, and if you've missed Interaction Week 2023, I've got something for you. As designers, for a very long time, we've had to contend with this ever-increasingly chaotic landscape of screens. Most modern-day design projects involve some level of responsive design, and at the very basic level, that kind of means that your one product that is being designed, and also how it's developed, it needs to gracefully handle a number of scenarios within that same interface. And this is typically done by handling three breakpoints: the mobile, tablet, and desktop experiences. So each of those have their very typical ranges of resolutions, and they also have a typical method of input, and your design can be catered to that for each device. It picks up what device is being used and adapts the experience accordingly. Anybody that has gone deeper into that rabbit hole and needed to get a much more granular look at what device it's being used on and fine-tune the experience knows of the crazy world that is out there in terms of small screens on your wrist all the way to these gargantuan desktop monitors that are 30, 40 inches and 4K resolutions. So now you're needing to contend with the screen dimensions, the resolutions, the pixels per inch, the scaling, all the aspect ratio. The list goes on and it all gets a little crazy. And to the rescue is Trevor Kay and Christopher Muller with their incredibly detailed tool called ScreenSizes.app. It covers pretty much every imaginable device in the Apple ecosystem, from iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, and Apple Watch, covering every generation of the products since inception and at an incredibly detailed level. So for example, in an iPhone 14 Pro Max, you have all of the specifications that you need to thoroughly understand this product. Amazingly, you can go all the way back to the very first generation Apple Watch where it all began. And what's really cool is an comparison table that gives you a bird's eye view, allowing you to compare the different generations of products side by side so you can see how the specifications have evolved over time. This is really an impressive tool that has been painstakingly maintained. Really well done. Building and maintaining a design system is really a must-have for any contemporary design project that you're working on. It is a beautiful way of centralizing and creating a single source of truth for all of the layout and template, component, stylization, and other elements that go into a typical modern product. But it's also capable of managing all of these design considerations across multiple products and touch points and entire ecosystems. It really is an incredible development in how we look at building up all of the style components and bits and pieces that go into a modern app or desktop website and so forth. It is a must-have, and I can't stress that enough to you, because with the complexity of the products that are going out these days, it necessitates somewhere that's centralized to make sure that there's a consistent application of styling, of how components are built and designed, and how they respond to things. And a design system is indispensable in this regard. So whether you've done design systems before, or you're kind of curious and wondering what's all the hype about with these design systems, I've got a website for you called designsystemsrepo.com. And it is an extensive repository, as the name would suggest, of design systems that are out there available in the public. And I assure you, it is an incredible assortment from companies, organizations, governments from around the world, publicly displaying their full design systems for you to go and explore. This is a great way to understand how corporations and governments and so forth approach building a design system. And so you can see the inner workings and get an understanding of how you could potentially build your own. This is really invaluable stuff. In addition to that, they also have a huge collection of articles and talks and videos about how design systems work and how to apply it to your project. This is well worth checking out, this one-stop shop of everything to do with design systems. Vitali Friedman is the founder and editor-in-chief of the long-standing and reputable publication called Smashing Magazine, based in Germany. It is a wealth of knowledge for front-end developers and designers alike, with tons of information on how to improve and increase the quality of your design work. In addition to that, Vitali is an incredible contributor to the online communities, and particularly where I found him on LinkedIn, where he gives an incredible amount of knowledge and bits and pieces that he's collected from around the web and that was contributed to him, and share it to his connections and followers. Really is quite an impressive amount of effort that he does on a seemingly day-to-day basis to help keep us all informed. In addition to that, and the whole point of why we're here today, is his incredibly detailed articles on what I believe are his interest area, which are kind of all the UI details and depth of things that we commonly overlook or underappreciate. And case in point is this article called Infinite Scroll UX Done Right, Guidelines and Best Practices. And it is a tour de force of Infinite Scroll. Because I gotta say, it's so easy when you're designing a website or a mobile app to just simply say, well, put in an infinite scroll. Done deal, we've done our scrolling bit. But actually, as Vitali points out in this article, it is much more than that. Because what you're really trying to do is make a data set result much more manageable to the end user. And there's quite a bit of detail that can go into either making that a good, mediocre, or bad experience. And he goes through and starts to talk about things that we're all familiar with, like pagination and different types of scrolling, and comparatively looks at all of these different things, and then nicely segues into examples of how to better infinite scroll. And I really love this particular example, and I can imagine a million ways that this could be applied to websites, and in particular apparel websites, as it's shown in this example, where as you're doing that infinite scroll, it's also going through waypoints of the price so that you get a visual indicator of where you're hovering and the overall price of this product, and is really quite impressive. Definitely go check this article out, in particular if you're working on that project that involves a lot of scrolling. Back in February, the IXDA, or Interactive Design Association, had put on their famous Interaction Week 2023. It is an entire week full of workshops and conference keynotes that cannot be missed. And then you think to yourself, hold on, it's February, I have missed it. Fear not, I have a very interesting resource for you. It is part of a growing trend, which I truly love, which is of conferences and webinars and design events sharing recordings of their keynotes to the public. So those that could unfortunately not attend can still benefit from the knowledge that was shared during these events. And so what the IXDA did was put beautifully produced recordings of the keynotes into Vimeo, and you can watch them one by one, and many of them are very well produced. All of the presentation slides and the speaker are all well recorded, and there's plenty of information surrounding each of the talks. This is a great way to make sure that designers can get access to this information even after an event occurs. This is really fantastic. And lastly, of course, they've got their next Interaction Week taking place next year, February again, but this time it'll be in Sydney, Australia. Thanks for joining me. If you liked the episode, give it a like. If you loved it and you want to see more, subscribe and share it with the designers in your life. See you next time on Design Variety.